Okay, so I think we can now start our session for today. So my name is Samuel Kadima, and I'll be coordinating this meeting. And our speaker for today is Nselemo Flavian. We're looking forward to learn from him about infrastructure automation using Bicep. So I will first take you through the agenda of the day, and then you're going to proceed from there. So before we go to the agenda, we have a quote. So the quote for today is, if what you did yesterday still looks big to you, you have not done much today. So if what you did yesterday is bigger than what you did today, you need to try your best to work harder to make what you are doing today also count. So for the agenda, we are going to have an icebreaker. Then after the icebreaker, we are going to learn about the meeting expectations, and then about the community for the new members who are joining us. And then we're going to look at infrastructure automation using Bicep. After which we're going to have a Q&A session. Yeah. So on the icebreaker, we have a question here. It's just about the goals that you guys set, because we are coming to the end of the year. We're just 1 month short to the last month. Yeah. So you can share in the chat if you manage to achieve the goals you set for this year, and if there is any goal that you are proud of that you've achieved. Yeah, that is if you still remember your goals. If you also forgot your goals, you can share that as well. So share on the chat. But if there is anyone who would like to unmute and speak, I can give you a chance. So is there anyone who would like to mute and speak? I'm looking at the chat to see the goals that you guys are sharing, if you manage to achieve your goals. So far, I know the year has not yet ended. So far, have you achieved any goals that you set? Can you guys hear me? Oh, okay. So Samson says some of them. Let me see you guys typing there. I'm looking at the chat. If you achieved some goals, you can share on the chat. And you can also unmute. Yes, Charles says, done with my degree. That is good. Congratulations. Do we have any other person? Okay. So that is fine. So I myself had some goals. I've achieved some of them, and some of them I'm yet to achieve. So one of the things that I'm proud of, even though it wasn't my goal at the beginning of the year, was starting this community. It's something that I was made to do, yeah, by people who wanted the community. So, but I didn't have the goal at the beginning of the year. But I'm happy about where we've come and where we are at right now. So I will move on to the next thing, which I'm going to talk about the in-house rules. When you're not speaking, you're expected to mute yourself. You're supposed to raise your hand if you want to speak using that feature. It's there on Google Meet. You can see a hand. That is the one you click on to raise your hand. You can use the chat box to write your comments and questions. And you're also expected to be respectful to other people and to be curious. So, and then now about the community. So we are just a community of DevOps enthusiasts. So we have people who are new to DevOps, people who are experienced, and our goal is just to network and learn from each other. So those who have experience share the experience. Those who don't have experience get the opportunity to learn, and that helps them in their career path. They can make decisions on whether maybe they want to continue being in DevOps, or they can try it out, yeah, and also learn some things and upskill. So our mission is just to create a supportive and inclusive community that values diversity and supports learning and growth. And our vision is to be a leading DevOps community in Nairobi and beyond, driving innovation and empowering professionals to excel in their careers. So we have a team that enables these events to be successful. So we have, these are just some of the members. Some of the other members are not yet updated on this slide, but we have more members. And the goal is just to ensure that you can be able to have successful meetings, you can be able to have a successful community where people can gain value from. So that is the main goal, and that is enabled by this team. Everything that you see, everything that we do, it's because there is a team behind it. So in case you want to help, you can help us in running workshops. If you think you can speak on a topic or take us on a tool, you can reach out and we can be able to give you that chance. And then you can connect us with DevOps professionals as well, people you think can add value to this community. You can give us feedback. So this feedback can be both good and feedback that can help us improve. So you just share your ideas, anything you think we can implement, you just share. We welcome that. And you can also share our posts when we share, maybe about events or about anything that you're going to be sharing in our socials. You can share that as well. So we share on our WhatsApp group, we share on Twitter, we share on LinkedIn. So you can repost or retweet on those platforms. So the other thing is documenting our activities. So if you think maybe you can help us in one way to document our activities as a community, you can reach out and we'll be able to give you that chance. And also organizing our events. So those are the kind of places where you guys can chip in and help. And for today, we're going to learn about infrastructure automation using Bicep. And Anselmo Flavian is going to be taking us through that. So at this point, I'd like to welcome you, Flavian. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Samuel. You can hear me, guys, clearly?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen, and then we can start. Okay, yeah, so I'm sharing my screen, so I think we can start. So let me, yeah, I'm going to can start this. So today I'm Anselmo Flavian. Yeah, I think I'm a DevOps enthusiast. I like DevOps. Yeah, so I think we can start on this agenda, and then yeah, we can start. So first today we're going to look at Bicep as an infrastructure as code tool. Then why use Bicep? Then we can check the Bicep, the basics and the syntax of the Bicep language. Then we can do a small demo. Then we can have the QA, question and answer session. Yeah. So what's the Bicep? So basically, Bicep is a domain-specific language for Azure. So guys who use Azure as a cloud platform to deploy your infrastructure as code, you can use Bicep. You can use Bicep to provision your cloud infrastructure. So it's a Microsoft tool. It's built by Microsoft, and it's like, we can call it, for example, a lot of guys are used to CloudFormation for AWS. So it's basically the same thing. Yeah. So why use it? Bicep is cleaner. Previously, we did not have Bicep. We were using, there was another tool called the templates, Azure Resource Management template. So if you wanted to write infrastructure as code with a domain-specific language for, let's say, Azure only, not like Terraform, they were using but they were very hard to manage, especially if you have a large code base for infrastructure. So it was really hard to manage that. So they built Bicep, which is more cleaner and also more readable. It's also more maintainable. It's easy to modify. It gives you the feel of a like a programming language. For example, if you are used to any programming language, will give you that feel like a programming language. Then it's easier for version controlling when you're collaborating with other devs. Yeah, when building your infrastructure. Yeah, so this is just a difference between how bicep and arm look like. So on the left, this is bicep. You can see it's more it's giving you like a feel like how you just write a normal programming language. But now on your right, we have arm templates. So arm templates are like JSON, so you're writing JSON for your infrastructure, which it's more, it's longer. It will give you, you'll write more code for something small. But for bicep, if something is small, the code will just also be small. Yeah, so it was harder to manage, especially if it's a very big code base. We shall see that more in our demos. Yeah, so we can start with the bicep syntax. So I'm going to go out of this. Okay, just a minute. Yeah, so yeah, so we're going to check the syntax of bicep. So just a minute. So I'm going to go here. So for the syntax of bicep, so if you want to do, let's say, a small, for example, if you want to set up a specific parameter for a specific part of your infrastructure, you just use param as the keyword.
Flavian,
Yes, yes, yes.
are you able to zoom a little bit?
Okay. Okay. Sorry for that. Yeah, I'm going to zoom. Yeah. So, if you want to put a specific, let's say like a variable, you just use a param as the keyword. Then you just say like a normal. For example, if you usually say uh, var in maybe JavaScript, then you just put the identifier, then you put the type. Yeah, it's the same thing. Then if you want to put a specific resource, so you can use resource this, and then if, for example, if it's a storage account, you do that. Then you put now the API version that you are using. For example, if it's 2021, you're using a version for 2015, like that. So I'm going to shift on my VS Code. Then you can do something small. This is also part of the demo. Yeah, so I'm going to zoom this because I think you guys cannot. I think this is way better. Yeah. So here with me is a small code base for just creating a storage account on Azure. So this is like just showing you how some features that Bicep give you. So for example here, as we said here, for example, if you're just putting a small, something like a small variable, you can use this. Then if for example also you want to set, for example, for a storage account name, mostly in Azure they usually go from three, if it's a name for a storage account. So for that resource, it's usually 3 characters or 3 to 24 characters. So you can always use these that like somehow like decorators, if you've used Python, something like that. So you can use that to set the length. So if someone may be using your code base, for example, if we shall move to modules a little later in this session. So if you're setting a module, someone is setting a module in the code base, and he puts a storage account name that is more than that, it will automatically tell the person that, oh, this name for this storage account is longer, so use 3 to 24 characters right on the bat, because before even you do the deployment, so it will tell you what you're just coding. So also, for example, if you're putting a specific resource, maybe a database, maybe you're putting the plans that you want, the payment plans that you are using. So for example, here we have premium, we have hot, we have cool. So if you put allowed, the person that will be consuming this particular resource when building a module, he or she will be able to only use these three. For example, if you have other tiers, for example, if they are more expensive, you can just put the ones that you want. So for example, if you want cool, hot, so if the person is doing the deployment, it will automatically tell the person that, oh, you cannot use other tiers, you just use specific ones. So for example, it's cool, hot, or premium. Yeah, the same with these SKU names for the payment plans. Yeah, so it gives you a specific, like a finite part, like just specific uh, amount of resources that you can be able to use when you're doing your provisioning. The same with the kind of resource you want to do the provisioning. So this is just when you're just creating a resource. Then another benefit that it gives you, so the Bicep code is usually modular. So I'm going to shift to this. So it's usually very modular. So for example, this is, you can put this on your code base. So this is just like you can use it as a template when you're trying to create now the templates. For example, if you want to create how maybe your company wants to build that infrastructure. So for example, if you want to build, let's say, 5 resource storage accounts, you just put this one file, then you'll now create modules. So for example, if I want to create a module, so I just commented that also, that you can move together. So you just write module, then you'll give now the module like something like a name. So we can call it storage accounts. Then in that, it will now take you to the specific resource that you want to use. So for example, here you can say loops. I'll also show you another feature for looping in Python, so that in Bicep. So that's why I'm just using this same example on all of those features. So it will take you to that specific resource. Then from that resource, you're able to put that, then you just put that. So if you put those curly braces, so just say equals to then those curly braces. So inside the curly braces, now you'll be able to now specify those parameters that you have. So for example, access tier, the name of the storage account, the location that you're going to do the provisioning. So you'll give it a name for that module. So you just put the full colons, then give it maybe a name. So you can just say storage. Then from that, this is just a module name, but now the parameters, so you say params. So these are the parameters that you're going to pass. Then it will give you that red line telling you need to pass now the kind, location. So as you can see here, we have this kind, SKU name, we have access tiers, we have storage name. So it will automatically tell you to pass those. So if you just do that, then you do a quick fix, then you add all of that, it will give you those access tiers. So when you do that now, for example, here I have these parameters again, you'll now have to now put another parameter. So for example, if you're having another, for example, you're having an infrastructure, for example, you have a storage account for development, the development environment, you have another one for production. So this is the same thing, you'll use modules to do that. I'll show you in a more robust code base shortly. Yeah, so you'll put the access tier, then you'll put the kind, then you'll put the location, then you'll put the SKU name. Then I wanted to show you this looping, but I'll do this for now. I will comment that out. Then we can just put maybe a name. I think you cannot storage account name. Yeah. So I think I can put param. Then I can put storage account name, and it's a string. Yeah. So we have strings. We have the normal programming way, data types. Yeah, they're just normal. Even have lists. Yeah, even dictionaries for the hash maps. Yeah, even that there. So you can put that. Then you can give it a name. I'll give it. For Azure, storage accounts need to have unique names that have never been used. So I'll just use. Then I can just call it storage, so that you don't go into an error. Then you can give it a storage name. So yeah, if you do this, now you can now create maybe a storage account. So for that, I will do a deployment. So so to do a deployment on this, you need to make sure you are in or you're on that file, so on that module. So to do a deployment locally without, maybe you need to, for example, you can do it locally, or you can put it on a pipeline. We shall also see that later on this session. So you just do AZ deployment. So AZ for Azure deployment group create group create. Then you'll pass the template that you're using. So template file, then you pass the name of the module that you're trying to deploy. Yeah, then you can just do enter. Then it will do the deployment. You'll check if it's on Azure, if it's deployed the specific resource on Azure. Yeah, so this is just how Bicep looks. How you can use Bicep to do your deployments. So it also has other benefits. Like for example, if you want, as it's doing that deployment, you can talk on other features. So for example, if you want to put maybe 3 storage accounts, maybe for different reasons. So for example, if you need maybe 5, so you can use a loop. So for example, if I do this, then I do this, yeah. So if I do this, I think, yeah, if it has already picked it up, it cannot mess at the deployment. Yeah, so if you do this, I'll also comment this out. Yeah, comment this out. Oh, okay. So if you want maybe to do three deployments, you want 3 storage accounts, you can use var. So var for something that is changing, it's not the only one. Param is mostly only one thing, but you can, for example, if you want to move to another tier, we shall also see that on this session. If you want to move from maybe a basic tier to a standard tier, you can always change and it will also work. But if you want maybe 3 or 5 storage accounts, you can now put them in a list, or you can just call it an array. Then you can now write a for loop. So on the for loop, you write, you can give it just normal. So you can give it the storage name that will pass here. So it will loop through this. Then you'll give it an index. So for this index is you cannot put the same. Let's check this. Yeah, it has been able to do the deployment. So if you check on Azure, it was disturbing me, so I had to open a private window. Yeah. So if you check on Azure, let me refresh this. Yeah, as it's refreshing, we can just talk more. Yeah, so if you're doing this, so it will be able to, here. Yeah. So here, when you're writing the purpose of the index is to, for example, is to differentiate the modules, to have different modules that are being deployed. So you cannot just write, maybe just give it like, for example, yeah, just say storage. You cannot just say storage, because it will give you an error, because it will be like doing one thing on multiple. It's like duplicating. It's like duplicating the same deployment. So you need to put something like a number to differentiate those deployments. Then you can just now loop through that array. Then you can put this. Then you can just put the storage names. Then it will differentiate and do those multiple deployments. Yeah. And can you note that here in Azure, in Bicep, you don't manage state, because it's already done for you. So you just focus on code, just write code. It's not like I had people who write Terraform, they usually manage state for their current deployment. So as you can see here, yeah, we have the storage account. It has been deployed. Yeah. So those are just some of the features. So we are going to test now the loop, so that you can see all these 3 storage accounts have been deployed. So I'm going to do another deployment. Here. Yeah. So it's just write as deployment group create, then / -- template -- file. Then you specify now the Bicep file that you're trying to deploy. Yeah. So as it's deploying, so it's going to deploy all these 3 storage accounts. Then we're going to see them on Azure. Then you can now move on with the session. Yeah. If you have a question, you can just as doing the deployment. It's not done. You can just unmute. Yeah, you can go and check the deployments here. You can see the way it's deploying. Yeah, you can see it's deploying storage 1, storage 2, storage 3. Yeah, and usually when it's deploying, it's usually when you're doing a whole template, it usually counts. For example, if you have done 56 or 60 deployments, it will tell you are doing how many deployments. But for now, just using this module. Yeah, so you can just wait for that. Yeah, so I'm going to can move to that slide. Yeah, I think for I'll now to tell you how the provisioning works. So as it's deploying, so we have the Bicep language and we have now the old. So I'm going. Let me just share this slide. Just a minute. Yeah. So we have the Bicep language, then we have the ARM templates. Yeah. So the ARM templates are the old ones. So I think it's just like how JavaScript and TypeScript work. So you have TypeScript, then it's converted to JavaScript. The same way with this one. So I think even TypeScript was built by Microsoft. I think they use the same concept. So Bicep is also converted to ARM templates. Then the deployment is done. So I'm also going to show you a cool thing. When you have maybe an ARM code base, ARM templates code base, you can just paste it on VS Code, and it will automatically convert that code base to Bicep. Like automatically, you just paste it, then it automatically actually can just do that. So this is how it works. You write Bicep, you do the deployment. When you write that command, it builds, then converts it to ARM. Then now from ARM, it does the deployment. Then Azure Resource Manager will manage all the state. Will now do the deployment on the specific resource group. So resource group is just a way of organizing all your Azure resources. So a specific resource group. For example, here, if you saw if you saw the Azure portal, it was Savannah.test. So that's our resource group. So it will do that. Then deploy all those. For example, we are doing the storage accounts. It will now deploy all those storage accounts to that specific resource group. Yeah. So this is how the provisioning process works. Yeah, so maybe I can just show you that cool thing. So for example, if you have here, I have here an ARM template. It's just for a database. So if I copy this, you can see how it's really hard to manage this. It's really big. So if I just copy this, then I move maybe to some code base here. I move here, then I come to maybe somewhere that it's empty. Then I paste this. You see, automatically it has converted it to Bicep. So you don't need to now write. So you just do some small fixes, then you'll be able to fix all this code. So this is how this is some cool. I was able to discover this. I think when I was suffering, I was trying to convert a big some code base to from ARM to Bicep. Then I pasted it. Then it just converted for me. So yeah, so it can be able also to convert for you the ARM templates to Bicep automatically. Yeah, so that's just some cool feature with it. Yeah, so I think we can check Azure portal and see if it has done the deployment. Yeah, so maybe I can refresh this. Let me see the overview. Yeah, as you can see, it has done all the deployments on Azure. Yeah, so it means those loops work. Yeah, so maybe we can now move forward with the session. Let me just go back to that. Where the templates? Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is now the process of like how the provisioning process works. The provisioning process that we have just been doing earlier for the storage accounts. This is how the flow works. Yeah. So. So yeah, I think we are done with the basics, with how Bicep works, the benefits you can get. Of course, there are more benefits, but that's just a gist of how everything works. So we can move now to the actual demo. So we are going to be deploying a fast API application or an endpoint to Azure App Service. So Azure App Service is like AWS Lambda, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think it's AWS Lambda. So it's almost the same thing. So we are going to do that deployment. So I'm going to show you. Previously, we've been doing the deployment locally, just writing an Azure command, then it's taking the whole code base, then putting it on Azure. So, but for now, we're going to also to see how do you put it on a CI/CD pipeline, and yeah, and how do you, like, for example, if you want to, for example, if you already have you've already written your code. So how do you, for example, if you want to change from one plan to another, one payment plan to another, for example, if you are using basic, you want maybe a higher or a lower one. So how do you, yeah, how does it work on Azure? So yeah, I'm going to escape from this. Yeah, then we can just, I think we're done with the slides. So yeah, so you can go to the actual code base. I think it's not this one. Yeah, I think it's not this one. So I'm going to close this one. Then yeah, this one. Yeah. So today we are going to just a minute. Yeah, we are going to do some small deployment on Azure. So here I'm focusing here. This, of course, it's a fast API application, but my focus is more on infrastructure as code. So my focus will be more on uh, on Bicep, on the infrastructure of the application. It's just a simple a simple endpoint connected to a database. Yeah. So how do you deploy that database? How do you deploy so that it can work? Yeah. So yeah, so we can start. Yeah, of course you'll set up a service plan. So for example, here now I'm using, I mean, I'll also show you other features for Bicep, because the first one was just a small bit of it. So we're going to also see other features. For example, how do you set parameters? So for example, this is just a small part of it. So this is the service plan. So the kind is Linux. Then of course you're using the smallest payment plan, so it's basic. So because I don't have credits on the portal, so yeah, this is just but I will show you how do you now upgrade. So we shall change this and see if it's reflecting on the portal. Yeah, then you need to, after setting that, now you set the app service plan here. This is the app service plan. After setting this up, so after setting, we have containerized the application. So we are going to push it on registry. Then it will be able to be pulled. Then update. Yeah, I always update it. If you do any changes on the build a new image, then you get the new changes. Yeah. Then we have a Postgres SQL server that has a database inside it, so it's self-managed. I've also put the passwords here because it's just a demo. So yeah. So also here we are using a standard one. Maybe you can see how to upgrade that plan. So yeah, this is just also show you how do you manage these parameters, because you cannot have these, then you have these parameters here. How do you move these parameters to a parameter file? Then yeah, you can manage your parameters. So I'll also show you that. So this is just the database. Then we have now the registry, Azure Container Registry, where you put your images, then you run them into containers. Yeah. So this is also the registry that you are pushing the first API of the image of the application to the Docker registry. Yeah. Then we also have a webhook, but I removed this because it was a bit disturbing me. Yeah, but yeah, you can see how this works. Yeah. So after doing this, so you can obviously this just there's multiple ways of deploying an application. You can put it on a cluster. You can use maybe a virtual machine to do that, then expose it publicly. But this is just this is just a small one for this demo. Yeah. So for the pipeline, I used for the pipeline. So this for the pipeline. If you want to now we are doing it locally, so we are just writing the command, then pushing it to so we're doing it locally, like deploying the infrastructure locally from the terminal. But now you can now, I'm just focusing on this part. So this part is the part where now the infrastructure provisioning happens. So you'll on GitHub, these are called actions. I'm used to Azure pipelines where we actually call them. We have jobs, then we have tasks. So for this, I think they're called actions. So there's this action. So it will log in. It will help you to log into Azure. After logging in, you'll have to pass. You can put the GitHub secrets. You can put your Azure client ID, your tenant ID, and also your subscription ID. So you need to pass that. Then you also have this other action for now deploying the ARM templates. So it's this one here. So with that, you'll put the GitHub number is just the deployment. I think the deployment name. So it's not that big deal. Then you'll now put the resource group. Where is it focusing? So for example, ours was Savannah.test. So it's focusing on that resource group. It will deploy all those resources to that resource group. Then there is this now the template. Now the template, let me show you the template. So the template is now where the modules are. I was showing you the specific resources. So earlier we showed you how to write those modules. So we have multiple modules on dev.bicep. So you can see here, I'm using this. I'll show you why we are using this Microsoft.container registry. I'll show you why we are using that. It's a best practice when you're using Bicep. I'll show you why we do this like that. So after that, there's this dev.bicep. So you can see here, I am having all the modules. And also some cool part of it, you don't need to write comments. You just do a description. So for example, if you want to describe this part, you can just write, use something like it's a decorator. So you put that, you can now explain what you're doing here. Like this is like a description. Then these are now modules for all those resources that we are trying to deploy. Yeah. So then when you move again to that pipeline, there's something you can notice something here. There's this file. This one I think you guys are now familiar with it. The dev.bicep is for the modules, or you can call it the template. Then for the parameters are parameters as the params or the variables that you're trying to pass when you're doing the provisioning. So you can notice here we have, for example, I'm passing these parameters, but I'm not doing the equals like previously with the storage accounts. So I'm taking them to a parameter file. Yeah. So for example, if I want, maybe you can test with one. You can just write one. So for example, I'm having here, for example, this is for the registry. So I can do param. Then I can do SKU name. Then it's a string. Yeah. Then I can just remove this standard. I can remove standard. Then I just put SKU name like that. Then after doing that, I'll automatically get an error there, meaning my container registry needs another parameter for me to pass a parameter. So again, I'll write here param. Then I'll put SKU name. Then I'll put string. Yeah, then I'll be able now to pass that. So I'll pass this. I think this is SKU name. Yeah. Then I'll put that. I'll put again that. But now I'm not writing. I've not saying equals to standard. So I'll go again. Now we'll go to the parameter file. Here, this is now the parameter file. You can see I'm now putting all the parameters here, like the name of the service plan, the location. So you'll come here. Then if you do this, I think if you do this, it will tell you add new parameter value. Now you just add a new parameter. So for example, for ours, it's standard. Yeah. Oh, no, it's called SKU name. Oh, okay, that's the value. SKU name. Then I'll now give it a name. The value now it's value that we are going to provision. So it's standard. So it's that's the plan for the registry standard. Yeah. So this is how now so when you're doing now, you're in an actual project, you'll not be doing these on these files with the resources. You just have these without putting the actual value. Then again in the templates, you'll not have those actual values. Maybe I can show you one. Yeah, here. So for example, here, as you can see, I'm having all these Microsoft registry. You can see it's just registry. I'm having insights. yeah, you can see it's just insights. Key, this one is a Microsoft key vault where you put secrets. You can see here. Uh, we don't have. I think I think this one have it, but yeah, you can see. Also, if you are putting, maybe you are passing a password, you can use the a secure. This is a secure decorator. So for this one, you'll not pass anything. Even in the parameter files, you'll not pass a value because it's a password. It's like environment variables for infrastructure. So you can use these also, that when you're passing sensitive parameters. Yeah. So after doing that, now you'll go now to now this the topology. Then now you'll put all those modules. Again, you can see here all these modules don't have their exact values. But now if you go now to the parameters, you'll see a big parameter file where now you can manage these values. So you can have different environments. You can have this environment with prod. So then you can have maybe one with dev, like that. So you can see here also, here we have a large parameter file for all those parameters. So where you put the exact values. So that's how this thing works. Yeah. So once you do that, for example, so for now, I was to do like a raw deployment without, but I realized it will take a lot of time. It will not take 1 hour. It will take a lot of time. So I just had to now do again the deployment, a new one. So for example, maybe I can just show you how you can upgrade your plan like that. So for example, for this app service, for the endpoint, it's here. It's already it's live. Yeah, it's live. Yeah, it's live. I've just done. I think you can try it out. Yeah, it's working. Yeah, so it's live. So for example, here you can see we are having an SKU size of, we are using basic, as you saw on the code. So you can scale it up. So I think the purpose of infrastructure as code, for example, that there are some parts for the infrastructure you cannot change. Once you deploy, you cannot change, but you can change them using the infrastructure as code. For example, if you do a deployment without infrastructure as code, there are some parts you cannot always change. But I think for this one, maybe you can scale it up on the portal. But there's some things you cannot always change, but you can change with Bicep or any other Terraform, any other infrastructure as code tool. Yeah, so you can see these are the plans. Maybe we can move to a standard one, a production one, a standard one. So for a standard one, I'm going to change the code base. So I'll go here, then I'll come to the app service. So I'll come to, I think this you Google the service plan. So for the standard, I'll just put S. Then yeah, it's standard. So for these parameters, for now I'm just putting them here, but you need to put them on a parameter file. Then it's S. Yeah. So you can do this. Then we shall do a new deployment. So for now, I'm not going to use what is it called? I'm not going to use do it locally. We're going to do it using, that's fine. We're going to do it using a pipeline. So I'm going to push this code to GitHub. Yeah, then we can see how it works. So yeah, so I'm just going to open this. So I'll push this. Let's build an update. Yeah, so I'm going to push this. Yeah, I'm going to push this. So the pipeline will automatically start deploying that. So I just put it on push on main. So if I do this, yeah, so you can check this, the details. So it will start provisioning that. So yeah, so I think I wrote some tests, so it will run those tests. Then after running them, it will deploy. Then it will also build the Docker image. Then yeah, then I push that to registry. Yeah, so maybe as it's doing the deployment, we can talk more on why some of the best practices. So if you are having a large code base, we usually do this. For example, if it's registry, you write Microsoft dot container registry, or you write at least this is for previously where I was working, we were doing this. So you write Microsoft dot key vault. So the reason of that, someone on the team said that we need to, for example, if you write um, Azure resources, I think. If you write Bicep, Bicep language, and then you go to their documentation. Yeah, Bicep, not Bicep documentation. Maybe I can just say storage account Bicep. So then you can see, I'll show you why we do that. Yeah. So the reason we do that, as you can see, these are all resources that you can deploy on Azure. So as you can see, we have, maybe you can use maybe a normal one that people used to, maybe let me use a key vault. So for example, a key vault. So as you can see here, it's a key vault. So what we usually do, it's written here. You can see, for example, this storage, it has been written Microsoft.storage. So for our folders, if it's storage accounts, if we're trying to create a template, we write Microsoft.storage. Then on that folder, we'll write now storage account.bicep, storage accounts.bicep. So all storage accounts that will be created, all of them will be using that same template of resources. Then we can use words like allowed that I showed you. So if someone is creating another module, he will just use those allowed values that you've created. For example, if it's a plan, for example, if you're having B1, B2, S1, for like that, so they'll just be able to use that for different modules that they will be creating. Yeah, so that's the reason why we are just following. For example, if I go to another one, if I go maybe to web here, then I go to sites. So for example, for this one, we'll see our folder will be Microsoft.web. Then inside that folder, we'll have sites.bicep. If it's having, for example, you're having sites, then we have a folder for sites. So if you go for maybe backups here, so the folder will look like Microsoft.web. Then inside Microsoft.web, we shall have a folder called sites. Then inside sites, we can have the backups.bicep. So maybe I can show you one that is a bit deep. So for example, here we are having Microsoft.keyvault. Then inside keyvault, we're having vault. So if you open vault, you see, if you open vault, you'll see that it's written Microsoft.keyvault. Then there is vault. There is vault.bicep, of course, but now there is vault. Then I'm sure there will be now secrets.bicep, like that. Like that's how we that's at least that's what I was told by a senior. Like that's how you organize your infrastructure as code when you are trying to write it. Yeah, so it can be more cleaner. Then after doing that, now you'll create something. You'll create now products. So inside products, you'll have now, for example, if you're having a notification service, you're having maybe a technical documentation that for inside your company that you're trying to for your in-house applications, you can now, for example, if it's for that website, so for example, you have tech docs, so that's a product. So for that product, that's its infrastructure. So you'll have, for example, you can have prod, so you can put environments. So before environments, you'll have topology. So for topology, it will have prod, dev, QA, like that. So for example, this is prod.bicep. So for this one, it will be using all those resources. So for example, if it's storage, it will go to module, it will go to that specific bicep file on top that you are for storage account there here. Then it will create now a module using that. So for different resources. Then after that, you'll now have environment. So for environment, environment will pick values from now the topology. Yeah, so for example, if it's tech docs, you can see it has topology, then it has environment. So inside prod, there is pro.bicep and the parameter file. So here is where now you pass the parameters. So it will have, you see, it's just one. You see, it's just one module taking all those values for from the topology. Then you'll now pass all those parameters on that. So then you now put, when you're putting it on a pipeline or doing it locally, you'll now deploy using this product bicep and this uh, product parameters file. So yeah, so that's some of the best practices when doing this. Yeah. So I think the pipeline has run. I think, yeah, I think it has passed. So maybe we can check if it has updated that plan. So previously it was basic. So we are going to check if it has updated that plan. Yeah, so as you can see, it was basic. So we can check down here. So it's still loading. Yeah, you can see here it's now standard. Yeah, it's S1, so it has upgraded to a production set of SKU and size for the app service. Yeah, so this is now how you do, you can change, you can now alter your bicep code when you're writing it. Yeah, so I think maybe anything I can share on this. Uh, yeah, I think I'm done with the exact demo. I did not do a cold one because it was it will take us a lot of time past the exact time. But yeah, that's just an overview of like how Bicep works. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I don't know if it was interesting for you, but for me, yeah, it's kind of different from these other infrastructure as code tools. Yeah. So maybe back to you, Samuel. I think I'm giving you back, you guys, 3 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, Flavian, thank you so much for the
Yeah.
good presentation. Does anyone have a question? Any question from anyone? Okay, good. So if there is no question, then I will share my slides. For those people who are new to the community, you can be able to join the community. So let me just share the QR code so that you can be able to access them, to scan and join. So you can scan these QR codes and you'll be able to join the community. So as you do that, thank you everyone for joining, and thank you, Flavian, for the good presentation. And if you're already in the community, you can feel free to drop.
I think you, Samuel.
You're welcome.